So hello everybody and welcome to today's video. Today, my friends, I'm very happy to be back to make another build guide on PoE, and today I'm gonna show you my Vaal Riders Fire Templar build, and I can tell you it is very POC. I'm going already a bit to the next category. Actually, it is almost unkillable. It is the most tanky build I have ever played, and I tell you, it is very good. It is a version, yes, I'm not gonna hide it from you, it is inspired a lot by POX. I hope I am telling or I'm saying your name right. POX, he is like very well known in the POE community for his Riders Fire builds. Like, people are saying he is the expert of the Riders Fire. I have inspired myself like pretty much about him, but with the viewers or with my viewers, we have like made it differently. Okay, more DPS in my opinion, and yeah, we have like changed a bit also to put the costs lower. We have added some explosions into the build and so on and so on. You will see by yourself. I'm gonna put this link right here under the video description and also as pinned comment so that you can see. I mean, that's something from Pox that he has done. There is like 108 questions, no, 135 questions actually. He is going all over it. Okay, also his Pastebin, I'm gonna put my Pastebin into the video description, but check it. I mean, he is going really deep into the Riders Fire. He is covering almost every question out there, so be free to check that. Okay, but I'm gonna show you my version of it, and I hope it's gonna be helpful. And as all of our build guides, I'm gonna start with the pros and the cons, and I go to the skill jumps, then I go over to the gear and the flasks, and then skill tree and remainings, then how I play it and gameplay of tier 16 Delirious map. If you want to see like me doing 30 waves of simulacrum with this build, let me know and I'm gonna do a video only for that. But otherwise, this build or this build guide, yes, would be way too long. Okay, my friends, so yeah, there was enough talking for this intro, and now we are gonna go for the pros and the cons. So my friends, the pros and the cons, we are starting with the pros, and I think you have already heard what is the biggest pro about this build. It is super tanky. I'm not afraid to say that it is like the tankiest build I've ever played so far. I even say that is more tanky than the build that we have made for 2 mirrors last league. My Cyclone cast on crit Forbidden Right build. This one is more tanky. Yeah, it is. And by talking about the costs, that is also a pro. We are around 150x, I would say, and you can like buy everything by yourself. Like 150x is a good budget if you want to make this build from now. Okay, you can make it for 100x, and if you're very unlucky, you will have to go to 200, but I would say I would price it between 100 and 150x. Okay, the most expensive stuff that I have is like the amulet and the helmet that we have here. Okay, for the rest, yeah, I mean, there is not really some expensive items in this build. Okay, the other pro, I mean, it makes decent DPS. I have to say, most of the versions, they are very low on DPS, but here we can say that we have focused a bit on DPS by taking a bit of tankiness out, but it feels just right. Even, and I could do the 30 waves on Simulacrum, people were not believing it, but I showed it on stream. If you want to see me do the 30 waves again, let me know, my friends, and I'm gonna do a video only for that, okay, so that you see how this build behaves on 30 waves. Then also I'm at level 99. As I said, you will get level 100 if you play this build. I mean, you will almost not get killed. Okay, so, and then And cons, I can only say that, yeah, the DPS, I mean, if we talk about tankiness right here, okay, and DPS, it feels like this, okay, and getting into the good middle, like bringing the tankiness a bit down to bring the DPS up, that's what we were trying, but it still feels like that the tankiness is like over tanky, and the DPS could, you know, we could go for a bit more of tankiness. You can actually adapt by yourself by taking this build and then changing a bit, like getting less life notes, why not? And so like less regeneration. I mean, you will see, you have the impression you are almost unkillable. What is also not good for this build is like going for the altars where it is minus percentage of fire resistance, since you need fire resistance a lot capped, okay. Also, I mean, the tankiness, I mean, I'm gonna just show you, we are at currently at 33,900 armor, estimated physical damage reduction by default 85 already, okay, 85%, and then we are pretty much fire, cold, lightning at 90% and chaos resistance 75, and chance to block 75, and so on and so on. It is a very good build, like if we're talking about the tankiness. Yeah, I'm sorry that I have to say it again in the cons section, but it is like that, okay. The cons, we have some, it is all or only when we are talking about DPS, but for the rest, I mean, it's so tanky that we don't care actually about the DPS. We can kill everything. I have not tried to make like the Uber version of the new bosses, you know, but you can for sure go for the normal bosses like the previous one, like it's a joke, I would say. Okay, my friends, and yeah, that was it with this section, and now we are gonna talk about the skill gems. So in the section of the skill gems, we are going to start with our offhand. We have a shield charge 2020. As I said, and always say, if you see 2020, it's always better to have a 21, but I always go for the minimum, you know, like trying to keep the cost at as low as possible. I mean, only if something brings us really something good, I go for this upgrade of a few exiles. Otherwise, I just keep it 2020. For example, on the skill gems, okay? So we have the shield charge with life tap and faster attacks, okay? All the three together, life tap, level 1, okay? We have 10 quality. We don't care about quality, but yeah. Then on our helmet we have trap and mine damage support linked with fire trap. There it is good to have a level 21 since the damage pretty much scales with the level. Then awaken swift affliction, what is very good, and if you go for a corrupted 5, level 5 quality 20, it is not expensive at all. And then the life tap 2020. Then on our shield we have the Defiance banner. We have a molten shell level 20. If you can, go for the level 21. Okay, it is a bonus, but I didn't, but because they are very expensive at the moment. So wall molten shell, don't forget to go for the wall molten shell. And Herald of Ash, also level 21 20. Okay, you don't have to link them, they can just be unlinked whatsoever. I have those two linked, but this is not needed. Then on our body armor we have a 6 link, life tap support level 20. We have an awakened burning damage. Then we have an awakened increased area of effect. We have awakened swift affliction support, and then we have our wall radius fire. Very important, go for the wall. Why am I going for the wall in the radius fire? Many people, and also me, I have the wall radius fire. I say to use it if sometimes you need really this burst of damage, you can use it, and then for a few seconds you have it and you are making much more damage. But don't forget that you are sacrificing 60% of your total energy, shield and life. whenever you are seeing a boss or boss is about to pop, if I want to use it, I always use my wall molten shell and then my wall rider's fire. Okay, so it shouldn't be any problem. I'm not really using it. Sometimes I do, but not very often, only if something is very, very tanky, okay? But why am I using Wall Rider's Fire? Because, and now I'm going a bit into the next section, I have body armor with an implicit of +1 to level of wall skill gems, what is very, very poggy, because it levels our wall molten shell 1 level more and the Rider's Fire wall. Okay, and it's very, very big. I tell you, 1 level on Rider's Fire is a big or a huge boost to your damage. And then we have Awakened Elemental Focus support. Then on our pair of gloves, we have Determination, level 20. We have Enlighten. It needs to be level 3. Okay. Then Malevolence, level 20. You can go for level 21. I can't remember why I didn't go for it, but yeah, level 21 for sure better. And then a Purity of Ice, very important to have a level 21, because only with that we will get on our max cold resistance, we are gonna go for 90%. Okay, very important to have a level 21, because with the modifiers we will get be at level 24. And then on our pair of boots we have an Hex Touch, a level 20, Elemental Weakness, level 20, and Frostblink, level 1. Okay, we have them linked, very important, Hex Touch, Elemental Weakness, Frostblink, and then we have a Tempest Shield. Okay, level 20 and 20%. So, and now my friends, we are gonna talk about the gear and the flasks. So my friends, we are going to start with our offhand, our weapon. What is important? It has to be a scepter with the implicit increased elemental damage. That's the best implicit that you can find on our offhand. Then the enchantment, the quality does not increase physical damage, but grants 1% increased elemental damage per 2% quality. What is really, really pog. But the most important here is +1 to level of all spell skill gems and +1 to level of all fire spell skill gems. That's the most important. Those two modifiers are the most important, okay? And then we want also ignites you, inflict deal damage 10% faster, sorry. And then can have up to 3 crafted modifiers, or not that, but we have fire damage over time multiplier, that for the damage is the most important, and then we have increased fire damage, okay, pretty much. But the most important is always the multiplier. The multiplier is much more important than like fire damage or elemental damage. Sorry. Then on our helmet, so we have here, and that's the most important, is socketed gems are supported by level 18. It can be also 16, but more better burning damage. But we have also concentrated effect, or Kong effect, how people call it. It's nice to have, it is good, okay, but it's not a must-have, because this helmet like this is gonna be very, very expensive. If you're lucky, you will find some for 25, 30, 40x, okay? But if you want just to go like for a normal one, 10x or so, you take this helmet only with burning damage. And then with the rest, you go for socketed gems, very important, deal more elemental damage. We have burning damage, we have increased area damage, and then lightning resistance or any other resistance that you need to cap, okay? So that's very important on the pair of, on the helmet, because although we don't have much items to like sustain our resistance, because we are using the jewel, you know, that gives minus 70% to elemental resistance. So we try to squeeze out as much resistance as we can on our items, on our gear, okay? So we are going to use it. And then flat life. Flat life is very important. Why? Because it also like scales the damage of Rider's Fire. The more life we have, the more damage we do with the Rider's Fire. And then we have an Aegis Aurora shield with an implicit +2 to level of socketed AoE gems. That's the best. Okay, if you can have a double corrupted with a good corruption, you have increased maximum life 4% or so on and so on. Thing is, I didn't go for it because it would be very, very expensive. But if you can afford it, why not? And then the most increased armor and energy shield that you can have. I have a perfect one of 400%, and the rest we don't care. We don't care about the increased elemental damage with attack skills, okay? So, then as amulet, I mean, we are allocating charisma, then we are quality attribute modifiers, okay, so that we have, instead of 19, we have, instead of 16 to all attributes, we have 19, what is very nice, and then we have increased reservation efficiency of skills, 20% we need. Okay, the Ashes of the Stars, we need a 20% increased reservation, then the most we can, quality of all skill jumps, I mean 29 is really nice, 30 is better for sure. Try to make one like this, okay? Then on our body armor, what we want is life and regeneration, okay? Then resistance and chaos resistance, okay? You need, I mean, I love to cap my chaos resistance for sure, but we really, as I said already by the helmet, we need to squeeze every modifier that we don't need or is mandatory on any item. We try to make or put resistance on, okay? And then enemies you kill have a percentage of chance to explode, dealing a tenth of their maximum life as physical damage. That's one difference from my build to POC's build, for example, to sustain our explosions, okay? So very important for me. And then, yeah, the enchantment that is POC, that is very good, gain 10% of maximum life as extra maximum energy shield, that is really good, go for it. And then the implicit is amazing if you can afford it, +1 to level of all wall skill gems, really, really good. Then, and now we are going to talk about the gloves. The gloves by itself is not very special. We have a bit of life regeneration again, increased life regeneration, and we have some chaos resistance. And then the enchantment, very easy. It is a suffix, if I'm not mistaken. No, it's a prefix, +1 to level of socketed AoE gems, then increase the area of effect. But what we have done here is the implicit, and the implicit is really, really nice. Since we have exposure, as you can see, we have a double implicit. The Eater of Worlds implicit gives us exposure, applying -13. It can be -20. For that, you will need to use those here. I mean, the big ones here. Okay, if you want to hit -20. But in my opinion, it is way too expensive, okay? If you can, you will see it's gonna be really, really good for your build, but -13 is already very, very good, and we used only like the Grand Eldritch Itcher. Yeah, the Grand Eldritch, and the other is the Exarch. Yeah, okay. We used the blue one, like, and until we hit inflict fire exposure on a hit, applying -13, okay? And then on the other, we with the red one, we hit fire damage over time multiplier, okay? You will go for those two implicits, okay? And since we have exposure here, and that's another difference, there are a little, like lot of difference to the build of POCs, but this one is one of the biggest, since we are like lowering our costs to our build by a lot. Since, and there I am going to the next category, because he is using a cluster jewel here. In Flow of Life, and here, instead of Student of Decay that I have like double, okay, he had Master of Fire. And if you check the price of a 4 passives with increased burning damage of Flow of Life and Master of Life, Master of Fire, we are at least 20x. And this one that I'm using here, it's like 2x. Okay, so we are lowering our cost to 18x, and the exposure for Master of Fire gives -10% of fire resistance to enemies, and this one gives minus 13 on hit, and we are hitting with fire trap and we are hitting with our shield charge. So whenever, and since we are using shield charge all the time, we are applying it anyways. Okay, that I wanted to point clear into this section. Then we have a Stygian wise. I mean, it's no surprise. We want increased maximum life with some maximum life, but the most important, it is the resistances. Very, very important. Then as I jewel, we have again life and resistances as much as we can. Okay, and then on our pair of boots, we have a legacy of fury, worm scale boots, and the most important here is the increased effect of scourge. That is the most important. Okay, that is very important. Divine it until you can hit 50 or very near to 50. Ah yes, and the rings, very important. I mean, this ring, it is like our ring to cap our resistances. As you can see, we are at 140 resistance, if I'm remembering right. So a lot of like some life, some regeneration, life if you can, if not, mana is also nice. Increased damage because we had still a prefix open, yes, and then resistances, the most you can. Okay, and we are also quality resistant modifier on this. And on the other hand, we have like a opal ring again, okay, with increased elemental damage, with dexterity. Okay, a bit of dexterity that we need, damage over time multiplier, and then life and +1 to minimum frenzy charges. You really want that on your build. Also to Pox, if I'm remembering, he is going for -7 to mana cost per, non-channeling skill, but we don't need, since we are using life tap for everything. Or almost everything. Okay, so we can then just use the rest for the increased damage. Okay, so I think, yeah, the key on the flask. Okay, and I forgot almost the flask. So the flask, we are going for a granite, a Masogist granite flask. Okay, when charges reach full as an enchantment on everything we have here. Only here we are using a used when you take a savage hit on our forbidden taste. Okay, that's very important. We are not using the flasks, they are used automatically. Here we have increased armor during flask effect, and then Cane 6 charge when you are hit by an enemy, and it's always when you are hit by an enemy on all of our flasks. Okay, on our ruby flask we have the regenerate 3% of life per second during flask effect. Here we have increased on our amethyst flask, we have increased attack speed during flask effect. On our quicksilver we have increased movement speed during flask effect, and so on. And here on our forbidden taste we are using this one, but with the recover 100% of life on use. Very important, we try to divine it until we use 100%. Okay, so this, my friends, was the last with the gear and flask, and now we are going to talk about skill tree and the remainings. So my friends, this is the skill tree. I mean, you will just copy it as you wish by copying the Pastebin into your path of building. What is important to say here, down here, actually, as you can see, we are using a jewel with corrupted blood, cannot be inflicted on you. Okay, on Pox he is using here, corrupted blood cannot be inflicted in you, but since we have here as implicit, we don't need 2 ways to 1 point on here on this note, okay, for it. That's the most important. I mean, the jewels, I'm not going to talk much about the normal jewels. We always want the increased maximum life. We want damage over time multiplier. Okay, that's the most important. And then fire damage over time. I think I have one here. Yeah, as you can see here, fire damage over time multiplier, damage over time multiplier, and increased maximum life. Here also I was very lucky. Increased damage and increase the re of effect. This implicit. I mean, if you can find one like that, but what you want is damage over time, fire damage over time, and increased maximum life. Everything else is bonus resistances or dexterity would be also POC. And I'm also like level 99. The last 3 points I took those 3 here, so those are the last that I took. Okay, Yes, so the cluster jewels, we are using a large cluster jewel with prismatic heart, smoking remnants, and widespread destruction. Now you're gonna say, oh Diaz, why taking widespread destruction, you're not using it? Since if you have a large jewel with widespread destruction, it's always the one that is gonna be down here. So you don't need to use those 2 points. You can spare them here on the life, what is very nice, since also damage scales with life. Okay, don't forget that. So we are taking widespread, but we are just using or taking prismatic heart and smoking remnants. Then as medium jewel, we have one time, we have 4 passive skill with student of decay and wrapped in flame. Okay, and here we have our melting of the flesh. Very important. Don't go for that instantly, since you will not have the resistances for that. Only go for that if you can afford it, to have the rest of your resistances, lightning, cold, fire, uncapped as at 160. Since here the best is -70 to all elemental resistances, so you will need 160 to then be at 90. So very important to go for melting of flesh only if you can cap it, your resistances. Then here, yeah, our jewel that I already talked. Then here, the Watcher's Eye. The most important is damage over time multiplier while affected by malevolence. Okay, I mean, that's the most important. Anything else usable is bonus. You have it on the link that I'm just putting into the video description. Also, I am going also for one, wait here, for example, you can go for additional physical damage reduction while affected by determination, for example, but as you can see, 30x at the moment. Actually not that costly. Yesterday they were at 40. Okay, but the most important is the damage over time multiplier while affected by malevolence. Okay, and then I think I have talked about all the important things, and now the most important thing is our brutal restrained timeless jewel. Okay, now on TFT, on their Discord, people are telling you which are the extra modifiers that you will get on the bigger nodes. Okay, and they're selling that, or you try to be lucky and you take one and you divine it until you hit. And what are we looking for? So dexterity, flat dexterity, the best +20 is POC. This one has +40. Okay, +40 is very good. Then you gain onslaught for 8 seconds on kill. I mean, those, if you can have one that has already this and the 40 dexterity, you are very good to go. Okay, because the rest, as you can see, we don't care. I mean, a bit of increased critical strike chance, it's not something that really interests us. The most important is the dexterity and the onslaught for 8 seconds on skill. Okay, and then the rest is only like if you can go for elemental damage and stuff like that, why not? But in the link that I am gonna put into the video description, this one, it is been talking about that. Okay, I think we have talked. I know the remainings, almost forgot. So as remaining, we are taking the Soul of the Brine King, okay, as major god in the Pantheon, and Soul of Shakari. Okay, I forgot to take the second note here, the capture of the last Restless Shade. I'm gonna do that after this video, but for sure you can go for that. Okay, so that's the best. Sorry, Soul of Ralakesh. What am I talking? Sorry, guys. Okay, it's the minor god Soul of Ralakesh that we are gonna go for. Okay, because of the bleeding. Okay, so my friends, and now we are gonna go for the how I play it. So how I play it, I mean, as you know me, I always play easy builds, and this one is no exception to it. So the first thing we do is we activate Herald of Ash, Determination, Malevolence, Defiance Banner, Purity of Ice, and Tempest Shield. And then we are done with our auras. Then on our left click, we put Molten Shell, the normal one, middle, nothing, Shield Charge, this is gonna be our skill that we are gonna use the most to travel through maps. Then on our queue we put Vaal Molten Shell, the vault version. Okay, don't forget, we are gonna use this, or I use this whenever I see a big pack of monsters or a big thing to come from bosses, or like in the simulacrums at the 30th wave when there are two bosses and they are trying to kill you with a big pack of mobs. And then Vaal Rider's Fire, as always, or I already talked about, if you need it, this burst of DPS. Then our Fire Trap on E, our Frostblink on R. That is what we are going to use to curse. Okay, we are going for Shield Charge and Frostblink. Okay, Shield Charge is going to be to put our exposure, and Frostblink if we are not using Fire Trap, right? Okay, Shield Charge to like exposure, and Frostblink to put the elemental weakness. Okay, and then we have our Rider's Fire that we are just gonna like activate at the start of any map. And now, my friends, I'm gonna show you tier 16 map, Delirious. So now, my friends, we are ready for some gameplay. As I said already, we are going for a tier 16 cemetery map, 20% delirious with 78% item quantity. Okay, with the altars, and we are gonna go for the Searing Exarch altars with a few scarabs, so you can see how this build behaves. Okay, Alva, yes, we can also go for Alva, so you see everything about it. And don't forget, if you want to see me doing 30 waves of Simulacrum with this build, let me know, okay? But I'm then gonna make a video extra only for that. So, and as you can see, we have also, or maybe you don't see because of me, we have 5 category of rewards. So I'm always going in and putting the blue sentinel, and now I'm gonna activate the it's starting good. I'm activating Rider's Fire, and as you can see, it is poggy. I'm always alternating between, okay, we are always alternating between Frostblink and Shield Charge, as you can see. Okay, so I'm going for this, the minus armor and evasion rating, we don't care. A little boss, so you can see I put on the boss the Fire Trap, and as you can see, it goes fast enough for me. Maybe some of you are gonna say, oh, it doesn't have enough damage, but for me it has more than enough. So just clearing everything. There is another boss from Breach. Heavy belt, no. The Chosen. So, as you can see, the explosions are just nice. Let me now activate the red sentinel. If I need this extra DPS, I put a bit of the Fire Trap down, but it's not really needed. It feels just nice. You are almost unkillable, my friends. Trust me, what I'm telling you. So, look at the boss. Look, for me, fast enough. It is a really well-balanced build. Now let's do Alva. Also Alva or the Temple Incursion, no problem at all. As I said, I'm using Shield Charge to go in, sometimes also Frostblink to go a bit faster, and also cursing. We are just gonna do the whole thing. The whole map to show you. Also expedition I'm gonna show you. And yeah, and expedition, don't forget that we are only doing fire damage, okay? So you can go for immune to fire damage. That's very important to know. But you can do anything else. And on map mods, yeah, you don't want to go for minus resistances on on the map mods, and also dot elemental reflection. For the rest, you can do it all. Let me just do this very quick. I'm just not gonna read, just go for everything. Don't pay attention to what I'm doing, really. Lightning damage, no problem. That's okay. So I put a few fire traps down. We don't really care about the enemies, as you can see. Some can be very rippy on expedition, but normally it's not a problem. I mean, any content on maps is a joke. Like, for real. And we have done it. There are still 2 incursions to do. We're gonna make them very quick, just for you. And we will see if I'm gonna make a better version of this build. I'm not sure yet. We are, as I said also in the other category, we are at about 150 to 200 acts into this build. Okay. Maybe if I can afford a mageblood, we can go for a better version, why not? Okay, so I mean, we have done it all, and that's where I'm gonna just stop with this video. I mean, as I said earlier, if you want to see me doing 30 waves of Simulacrum, please let me know, okay, in the comment section, and I'm gonna do a video only by doing a Simulacrum with this build. For the rest, if you have anything to say or you have questions and stuff, don't hesitate to comment, to like, to subscribe for even more videos on YouTube. And for the rest, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you will enjoy this build. And yeah, take care of yourselves. See us on the next video on YouTube or on the next stream on Twitch. Bye, my friends. Love ya.